Alright, give me 1 sec to throw up all the DreamHack and scoreboard overlays, guys. Make sure the titles are reset. We are so stoked to be back into this. It took, what was that, almost like 2.5 hours of downtime, lots of problems, but who the hell cares because we're back in DreamHack. This is, of course, an official DreamHack Bucharest broadcast. This is live. This is HuK versus Red, and it's going to be a best of 3. Spawning here in the upper left corner of the map, he's Red. He's playing for Team Liquid. It is Red.
And his opponent from the team Evil Geniuses, the only North American player in this tournament, none other than HuK.
Now, one thing I really want to point out, guys, a lot of you actually brought this up earlier in chat, and I want to squelch all rumors of that right now. HuK is a player who, if you watch him stream or if you encounter him on ladder, chances are he all-ins you. And that's not because HuK is a no-skill Protoss player from Evil Geniuses who doesn't know how to play, but he's a smart guy who's not going to give away all of his best builds on ladder for something that's just ladder points when something like WCS is up for grabs, DreamHack is up for grabs. So while there's the potential he might still do all-ins in DreamHack, please keep in mind, guys, he is like a beast with like a bunch of hidden tactics that you've never seen.
Indeed. And I just want to take a moment to throw this out there. You can follow both of these guys on Twitter, at LorangerChris and at LiquidRet. Boom shakalaka. Rifkin, DreamHack Open. We are back in business. We are in the booth, and it feels so good.
Yeah, our apologies again, guys, on behalf of DreamHack and on behalf of the players. It was nothing that anyone could help. They had to get the IP sorted, but it's all good to go, and we'll probably go into some very quick games after this, because I imagine there's not going to be downtime between each group stage. Like, they just want to get them over with ASAP, so please keep in mind, we're going to cast this series to its fullest potential. After this will be Tasia versus Show.
Whew. Oh, that just gets my blood pumping, Rifkin. Holy crap.
Were you going to call me Ruffkin?
I do. I almost called you Tuppy as well.
But okay, HuK actually playing off of one base with one gas. A little bit curious about this because, of course, the typical thing to do is you take the 2 geysers, 2 and 2, so you get the mothership core and the cyber core going at the same time. But when you do 3 and 1, you can only just barely afford to do that. You don't have that precise amount of resources to go for the quick expand afterwards. So I'm wondering if HuK, now chroning out that Stalker, is going to go for some very early poke on his opponent.
It's curious to see. I mean, I can't imagine anything else from it, but Rhett, he's going to go for this 3 hatchery style. Without even seeing what HuK's done just yet.
The key thing is, it's not before pool, though.
Yes, indeed. And this Overlord, is it going to get picked off by the Stalker? Opportune timing here for HuK, but it looks like it should be able to escape.
It should be okay, yeah.
It's dropping rapidly, though.
That armor, that bonus versus armor, dude.
Oh, no!
It's actually going to go down, wow.
I think we're going to get our first blood.
First blood.
And I actually did do first blood. But, man, in the meantime, HuK now with 2 Stalkers on the field can start poking across and be a little bit annoying if he wants. He does have to be precarious if his opponent... Like, I don't know... let's see how much of a scout HuK got off there. So he saw no gas, at least on one of the geysers. He might presume that there's no speed on the field, which is going to allow the Stalkers to really do a ton of damage. No speed Zerglings cannot touch Stalkers.
This is an intriguing build from HuK, because we don't see any Forge. You know, we're literally just seeing 3 gates right now, so it's going to be very, very telling as to what his plan is once this natural expansion finishes up here. But a Ling is going to get into the base for Rhett. Rhett's so persistent with the scouting throughout the entire day. He's going to continue that into the ZVP matchup and see everything.
Well, sadly, what there isn't here to see is a Twilight Council or a Robo, and that's going to be a little bit concerning for him because he doesn't know what tech path his opponent's going. And at this point, if your opponent hasn't revealed tech, you can expect more gateways to come down behind this, or at least you should.
Slightly more concerning is these 2 Stalkers that are across the field, and as you mentioned before, Rifkin, without that Ling speed, he's not going to be able to engage them. The Queens really can't move across the field because there's no creep between any of the bases, so this 3rd base is going to be rendered absolutely inert in early stages of the game.
HuK is just trying to bait him off creep to take a fight in a position where the Stalkers will prevail, but Brett, I love that he didn't fall for it. That could have been a very easy bait just now.
Yep. We got to be thinking about each player's mindset after that long delay that they got stuck with, and HuK looking like he's going to try to keep things as aggro as he can right at the bat, but Rhett scouts it out with this Overlord, which is going to see this proxy pylon, which already worked in 3 Zealots.
But even if he sees it, it doesn't necessarily mean he can deal with it. These Zealots don't have +1 weapons, but there's enough of them that the Lings currently cannot really contend. This 3rd base might just actually go down. There's
positioning's got to be really important.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's no speed. Positioning's going to be hard to obtain on top of these Zealots. Meanwhile, Stalker's firing from afar. Here comes the Mothership Core. He'll clean up the Zealots, but he can't deal with the Stalkers.
That's a lot of Lings, though, and I mean, he's going to be able to at least buy himself some more time here. A couple of Zealots are going to be morphed in as well, and the Queen is going to just drop. I don't see that lasting at all in this game, Rifkin.
I'm
but
surprised.
more Lings are going to pop out.
And perhaps getting a little bit too greedy, HuK might have found himself in a bit of a sticky situation because now the Stalkers are on creep. He needs to get off creep, but there's that speed. He's going to recall, I think. Or not. He's going to sacrifice the Stalkers. Okay. A little bit of a rough move there. But I like this early pressure. It really put the screws to Rhett, and he stopped droning entirely. He's only just now picked up his drones, but he had to produce a lot of Zerglings to hold that off. And behind this, HuK's going for Stargate, and Doom Phoenixes, hold me, man. I love Phoenixes. If HuK does Phoenixes, this is going to be really fun to watch.
I'm gonna assume that's the modem of operation here that HuK's gonna be going for. If it's a Void Ray, I'll be a little shocked. But you know, there is no static defense, so Phoenixes could really make some noise without any Spore Callers down the field.
He may pump out an Oracle to start, but most likely will be Phoenixes. If he does an Oracle, we'll talk about that, but I won't waste your time if he doesn't. Meanwhile, +1 weapons have been started, so we're going to continue with the ground. I mean, Zealots with +1 at any stage of the game are going to be fantastic to have in your army.
It's going to be the Phoenix.
All right, so Phoenix is the reason I'm getting giddy and excited about this is there's a certain level of meta baiting that goes on with having Phoenixes on the field. If HuK, well actually hang on, HuK's got to deal with these Zerglings first, forced to burn quite a few force fields to keep them at bay, doesn't even clean them all up sadly.
That Sentry actually got stuck in a force field there. I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
Oh, Twilight Council. Okay, so this is not the metagame play I was expecting. So there's two different ways you can really approach this. If you go for Phoenixes, you can assume your opponent's going to respond with Hydralisks. But what HuK has done is only made one Phoenix, and I think he's going to try and trick Rhett while cleaning up Overlords into thinking that there's going to be, you know, a lot of Phoenixes on the field. And if Rhett were to go for Hydralisks, Storm, Blink, these are two things that conquer Hydralisks pretty nicely.
So I guess we're really going to have to watch whether or not he throws down additional gateways after this, or if he tries to, you know, move into some other type of tech path from there. It doesn't look like the Robo is going to be on the way anytime soon.
Well, Rhett, he's not been phased by this. There's not a hole in the wall, but the Sentry's got to be careful. He's got to get that force field off quick.
HuK now recognizing this. The shield's dropping rapidly.
Oh, the Ling almost gets it, though, behind enemy lines. So it's
going to... situation here for HuK. He didn't burn any force fields, though, on that small engagement that occurred, so...
Well, the one
I'm going to call that a victory for HuK, because he's got the third base. Looks like it is going to be established easily in this game, and Rhett really hasn't established his tech path. He's going for this +1/+1 melee upgrades. As soon as he gets his lair, though, we're going to have to watch where he decides to take this game from there.
And, yeah, so there's the Templar Archives I was kind of hinting at before.
Okay.
So if HuK sees his opponent goes Hydralisk, we'll see Storm for sure. If his opponent's going to stay on Lings or go as far as to be Hydraling, then we're going to see a lot of Archons make their way onto the field. With these charge lots, they're going to just blitz the heck out of the army of Rhett.
Yeah, very peculiar we're seeing Charge be an option for Protoss players against Zergs in this matchup here. I guess it makes a lot of sense if we go for this very large swells of ground armies, that Zerg style, and considering Rhett's going for those melee upgrades, it seems like he's going to stay on that tech for a decent time in this game, at least to try to get, you know, up to Hive with it.
Yeah, and the critical thing about having Charge is it kind of negates the speed from those Lings. They can't get that quick surround because you charge out immediately to block them.
Very cool. Infestation Pit on the way here for Rhett.
This is so many Lings, though, Doom, and this is not a good place to force field. Couple of the Sentries in a bit of an awkward spot. The Zealots are actually in a magnificent position to take this fight, though. They have those weapon upgrades on their side, and Rhett with no armor is getting two-shotted by each of these Zealots. However,
One Archon should be able to clean this up.
Yeah, but there's just so many Zerglings here.
It's not engaging.
It doesn't need to, actually, by the looks of it. Mothership Core should be able to defend this along with a couple, well, the cannon.
Love that cannon position there, protected by two pylons on all sides. Should be able to hold off anything that comes through there, as long as it's not in ridiculous numbers.
I think a big reason the Archon didn't engage there is HuK didn't want to give away that he had it on the field.
Okay.
Because if Rhett saw that it was going to be Archons, maybe the tech path would change. I don't know. That could have been just a huge misclick, and I'm reading too much into it. But it did seem like he was intentionally keeping it out of the fight.
What wasn't a misclick was those force fields. That was actually really smart of HuK there to reduce the surface area around his Zealots and make it so that the Lings could only engage from one angle on them.
It's so hard to pull that off, too, because it's really easy to make a quick donut around your Sentries, but to leave enough surface area for your Zealots to just get out there and poke, magnificent. But meanwhile, Rhett is still, he's keeping up with the melee upgrades. His eyes are on the end game. He's got Hive on the way. I wouldn't be surprised if he went for Ultras later on, but we got some Roaches coming out to make up that mid-game difference.
What a wild pylon wall that HuK is building over here as well. Trying to deflect these Zergling run-bys.
Has to be careful, though. Zealot, okay.
All right. So it seems like the Hive Tech is definitely going to be for that adrenal gland upgrade. We're going to watch to see if Red goes for that right off the bat. With this +2/+2 about to finish up, Glial Reconstitution about to finish up, it feels like he's really gearing up for some type of very strong 4-base attack. I mean, he's starting to use all of his larva for nothing but attacking units. Seems like he's comfortable on 72 drones. Going to take his, what appears to be his 7th and 8th geysers now on the field as well. So really getting a lot of gas.
Yeah, they're the
and
adrenal
Ultras,
glands.
baby.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of players don't even go for adrenal glands anymore. They're definitely a good upgrade to have, and they're not that expensive, but because Lings become so nullified by most of what's on the field, Sentries, Archons, Blink, you know, you don't see a lot of people invest into them, but I really like that he chose to. But as we see here, the Lings are just getting popped by like 6 Archons.
Tech path here for Red, as you're saying here, doesn't look like it's going to be paying off. And if HuK continues to push forward towards his 4th base, this could ruin the plans of Red before he's able to get his, critical mass of Ultralists on the field to try to compete with this. Because that seems like the only unit besides, maybe like Brood Lords that could really contend with the Archons at this point in the game.
Well, Archons, while they are beefy and deceptively strong, Ultralists do run through them pretty nicely. And what I really like is, by investing in the adrenal glands, the Zergling support for the Ultras is going to be critical. Once you clear out the Archons, what's left to stop the flood of 80 Lings you reinforce with afterwards? Now, a really key thing here, too, as we look around the bases, Ret has been actually pretty good with his injects, but there's almost no creep spread on the map because of this. I mean, there is creep spread, but it's not where it should be. Typically around the 11-minute mark, you want it about halfway across the field on any map.
How effective are storms against Ultralists, Rifkin?
Well, I mean, they're spells, so they ignore the armor. So in that regard, they're not bad, but the Ultras move out of the storms despite being big pretty quickly.
Well, HuK's moved into double Robotech. Storm is on the way. He's got to get his +1 ground armor, level 1. His +3 is already completed, so
I think
optimal there.
This is great, not only for the Roach, well, hang on, we'll talk about that in a sec. Look at that charge slot wall I was talking about before. No surround whatsoever. Archons are going to go down if they're not careful. Microing back the low ones. Actually, a couple of them living a little bit longer than they should, but the charge slots on the Archons will clean up this Roach army, and Ret
was
is
amazing
losing
micro
everything.
from HuK. I just want to point out, moving those small little
He had like
Archon move there,
500 APM there at like one point in the battle. That was insane.
he baited out the focus firing from the Roaches on the Archons, moved them down as the Zealots crushed the Lings, and then once the Zealots moved through everything there, he just created that very large arc and just destroyed everything Red had. That was great. There's even a Ling or a Zealot run by into the natural here of Red as well, taking out just a handful of drones. And that was a distraction tactic to go hit the 4th base now, Rifkin.
And the +3 weapons on these Zealots are going to tear down this hatchery so quick, Doom. I mean, when Ultralist comes out, but it gets choked within everything. Lings are going to try and connect, but of course the Archons are here with their splash damage. Time Warp goes down, but of course Ultralists are frenzied units. They don't care about Time Warp.
Oh, and with the Immortals joining the fray here, those Ultralists are going to be less and less effective. HuK recognizes the entire tech path of Red. It almost looks like he planned it out, and there's the
Good
GG. Red
game.
forced to tap out.
HuK will
HuK
take
taking
game one.